statistical, mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin. Hi traders, hi Bitcoiners, hi supporters, followers, hi followers, our haters, hi detractors. Hi to all of you. I appreciate all of you guys. Welcome. Come on in. Make yourselves comfortable. Grab the beverage of your choice. Grab something maybe to take notes with if you consider anything I have to say of importance. But welcome to another live spaces session with Oliver Velez. Of course, my name is Oliver Velez. And at least on this social media network, I want to be your Bitcoiner for life. Let's see if I can, over time, do that. All right, but listen, welcome, guys. The first time I attempted this, I don't know what happened. I think it got deleted inadvertently. But speaking of deleting things inadvertently, I have to tell you that the motivation behind this live session today came from the fact that I had a very well prepared tweet, or whatever they're calling these things these days, as Z, prepared to go out, and it inadvertently got deleted. And it was well put together, and it was on a topic that I think is very important, very basic, but still, despite the fact that it's a basic topic when it comes to financial markets and proper market play, despite the fact that it's somewhat basic, it is still possesses great power. And so I decided to take this opportunity where I lost my tweet, I lost my seat. I decided to take that as an opportunity, or a sign, if you will, to basically connect with you on a deeper, more intimate level. And so everything happens for a reason, and perhaps maybe me inadvertently deleting my tweet, which I thought was very important, just gave me an opportunity to grab 20 or 25 minutes with you to explain it in deeper detail. So welcome once again. I do want to talk about this topic called how to move your Bitcoin entry price. Now, many of you who have been following me for a long time, some of you are actually my traders and have been with me for decades. And I know this topic might seem very basic to you, but it's always fundamental, if I might add, but it's always beneficial to sort of revisit the basics, revisit the fundamentals, and repetition does have a value. So if you're with me for a long time, all of these concepts I'm about to explain are very normal and very, very basic to you, but it'll be a great refresher for those of you who have been following me just for a small period of time. These are some of the things that we do in our market play, or one concept of what we put into play or practice in our market play. And so this might prove to be valuable to you. So I do want to talk about how to move your entry price in Bitcoin, and how your entry price does not have to be stationary. It does not have to stay the same. And as a result of that, you do not have to obsess over when you start an accumulation plan or a buy plan for what I consider to be a generational wealth building asset. Now, before I get started in earnest, let me just remind everyone that my spaces are a bit different. I don't hand the mic to people. I am not, at least at this stage, interested in hearing from you. I'm sorry. I believe it is far more productive for me to come onto these spaces with a preordained topic. You ask your questions regarding that topic. We keep it focused that way, and we can build topic by topic by topic to become better and better Bitcoiners, better and better seers of the generational wealth generating aspect of this asset. And at some point in the future, we can perhaps maybe even group these topics into well, organized format. So I don't pass the mic, but please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I'll be monitoring your questions a bit after our talk and certainly during our talk as well. All right. So let's delve right in because I don't have a lot of time. I do have a dinner reservation of 20 to 25 minutes. I'm notorious for going hell beyond my time, but let's see if I can keep that time restriction strict this time. And I think I can. So, how to move your Bitcoin entry price. So, let me start off by telling you that I find that far too many people who actually get to the place where they're interested in diving into Bitcoin, they've reached a point where they want to begin their journey in Bitcoin. They want to begin a purchase. They want to start um, adding this important asset to their portfolio, if you will. And I find that too many people, once they reach that point, they overly obsess about when to get in. So it becomes a major timing aspect. They're watching YouTube videos, they're listening to crypto bros, and they're trying to find the right moment. They're trying to not be the dummy that gets in initially too high and almost shortly after they get in, the price is substantially lower. Um, or even mildly lower, they're looking for the perfect entry. And I believe that this is a fear based, low time preference approach to what I consider to be a generational wealth building asset over time. And it's akin to majoring in the minor. The initial entry point, or even if it's not your initial entry point, the entry point that you're making this week, the entry point that you're making today, the entry point that you'll be making next month, all of these entry points really don't matter in the grand scheme of things if we approach this asset properly. You see, because Bitcoin is, in my opinion, it is not a trading item. It is not a trading vehicle. Um, it is a savings vehicle in its current state, in its current form. It is the world's best savings technology. It is the world's best investment technology. And it has spent the last 14 years proving to us that it is the best place to store our current value for future wealth for wealth in the future. It has demonstrated that there is no second best to it being the very best savings technology on earth, the very best investment on earth. It spent the last 14 years proving that. And I am dumbfounded. I'm actually dumbfounded that at this particular point, 14 years into the life of this, almost 15 years into the life of this generationally important asset, that so many people are unaware of that. So many people are unaware of the fact that Bitcoin has broken every single record, every single financial record, every single performance record that has ever been set by anything in the history of mankind. That it has set the best 1 month gain in history. It set the best 1 month gain in history. It set the best one quarter gain in history. It set the best 1 year gain in history. It set the best 5 year gain in history. It set the best 3 year gain in history. It set the best uh, a 10 year gain in history. And certainly throughout its life, it set the best 14.8 year history, what have you. It's coming upon its 15-year birthday, its 15th birthday, if you will. I actually believe that Bitcoin's birthdays are every 4 years, so its birthdays operate on a leap year basis. But we've been accustomed and and conditioned to think in 1 year increments. So from a 1 year increment point of view, Bitcoin is approaching its 15th year birthday. But listen to me carefully. There is no asset that has come close to the performance of Bitcoin. There is no technology that has come close to the performance of Bitcoin. And when I tell you that from a savings point of view, from an investment point of view, there is no second best, that is not an opinion. That is actual statistical mathematical fact. And if any of you who are listening to me right now, you doubt that, just do very, very brief cursory search to find out what's the best performing asset the world has ever seen. And you'll find out that it's Bitcoin. Now, all of my professional life, guys, I'm telling you, I have been in the professional arena in totality for the last 43 years. Professionally, for the last 37 years. All right. I started off as a Wall Street trader back in 1986. I've done nothing else with my adult life but basically practice trading financial markets for income as well as for wealth. And if I might say so myself, I've managed to do that fairly well. And those of you who are familiar with my history, have been following me and have been part of me or my organization and what I do for a long time, you know this. All right. I'm one of the pioneers of direct access, short-term oriented trading. I'm in the history books for bringing about many of the technologies that have helped foster that form of trading throughout the decades. And so I speak to you from deep experience, a lifetime of experience when it comes to this issue. Now, the first thing I want to share with you um, is that I believe that far too many people who reach the point where they see Bitcoin as an asset that they want to include in their lives, but they overly obsess with when do I enter? Um, when do I enter? When's the proper time? And I think this is putting the cart before the horse. And I think this is also majoring in minor things. That we are too early, in fact, to think about price. Think about Apple when it was 14 years old. This is a baby asset, despite the fact that it has beat the pants off of every single asset ever known to mankind. It has given you 14 years. It has given you 14 years of history to show that there is no second best. And I have been taught throughout my professional career that you look for a 10-year record to know that something is not fake. Something can be fake, something can be true, something can be lucky, something can be by chance if it's 2 years, if it's 3 years, even 5 years. But 10 years, you are absolutely sure that if something has demonstrated the same thing over a 10-year period, that it is real. It has gone through enough time, enough instances, enough scenarios, enough market environments um, to weather every particular storm and to know that this is not a statistical anomaly, that it is real. So not only has Bitcoin given us 10 years, it's giving us 14, almost 15 years to know that this is not by chance. This is not luck, that you can't be lucky for 14 years, almost 15 years. You can be lucky in 1 year, you can be lucky in 2 years, you can be lucky in 3 years, but you can't be lucky in 14 years. So we're beyond the point where there should be any doubt. And I'm always constantly reminding people, if you're not sure after 14 years, how many years do you need? 100 years after your death? Do you need 20 years? All right. Imagine Imagine thinking about price with Apple when it was 14 years. Apple was 14 years when it was in 1994. Think about obsessing about price with Apple. The most valuable asset outside of gold today on planet Earth is Apple. Think about obsessing about its price when we were in 1994. Long before some of you were born, it would have been silly to think about price of Apple in 1994. I remember delivering the same message about Amazon when I was pounding the table, and Amazon was the investment of my life. I did not want any of my traders, I did not want any of my followers to be left behind. I pounded the table like I'm pounding the table today on Bitcoin. I couldn't shut up. People told me, Oliver, can you talk about anything else? I said, no, I can't talk about anything else. I can only talk about Amazon. I would tell people, listen, if you have kids that are going to go to college, in the next decade or so, you need Amazon. If you're looking to retire in the next decade or 2 or 3, you need Amazon. I pounded the table on Amazon because I saw from a visionary perspective that Amazon was moving into digital shelf space and no one else was. that everyone had physical shelf space. That physical shelf space was limited, and Amazon would eat the entire world that relied on physical shelf space because they didn't have to turn a product away. They didn't have to select. They could take every single product in the world. Their shelf space was limitless because they had digital shelves. Walmart had physical shelves. Sears had digital shelves. All your supermarkets had physical shelves. I'm sorry. Walmart had physical shelves. Sears had physical shelves. All your supermarkets had physical shelves. Amazon came into the world to introduce digital shelves where you could have every single product in the world on those shelves. I saw this early. I pounded the table. Everyone was saying, Oliver, okay, we get the message. Can we move on to something else? I said, no, we can't move on to anything else because this is it. This is your future. This is we scored huge. Now I am pounding the table. Not that anything didn't come after that, but I'm pounding the table on Bitcoin the same way I pounded the table on Amazon, the same way before that I pounded the table on Apple, the same way I pounded the table on Microsoft before that, the same way I pounded the table on McDonald's before that, and the same way I pounded the table on Eli Lilly before that. So I have a long history of going into these almost crazy, like, there's nothing else. I don't care about anything else. Don't talk to me about anything else. This is it. If you're looking for generational wealth, this is it. I am not a diversifier, guys. I don't diversify. I focus, I concentrate. I've never believed in the concept of diversification, and I see that pop up all the time here. See, well, Oliver, it's risky to put everything in one thing. Well, you put everything in the US dollar, don't you? You know, and so I'm not a diversifier. So if you're looking for this message of diversify and spread everything out over 50 different things just in case you're wrong and whatever the case is, that's not the message you're going to get here. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do. All I can do is share with you my mindset, what I've done throughout my history, and what I'm thinking and doing now, which I try to show you every single week of my life. Now, here's how you can move Bitcoin's entry price so you don't have to obsess over when you start. You don't have to obsess over timing or whether you're fearing I'm going to be stupid by getting in now because everyone's saying that it's lower. Bitcoin's going to 12,000, Bitcoin's going to 10,000, 9,000, all of which I consider to be dumb and stupid and completely unnecessary and irrelevant. Let's go over several points. Number one, the first buy in Bitcoin is the first buy in a lifetime. Listen to me carefully, guys. When you buy Bitcoin for the first time, or even if you're buying it today and it's not the first time, this is just one buy, one purchase, one transfer, one exchange for a weak currency, the US dollar or whatever your fiat currency is, into something stronger over time. This exchange, this purchase, this buy is one buy in a lifetime if you are approaching this asset properly. This is not a gamble. This is not a casino. You don't just go into the casino, bet one time on red 13 and just simply wait. This is not how we approach this asset. We're going to buy forever. Do you understand? We're never going to stop buying. If you approach this asset properly, it is never going to be something that you stop doing. You never stop trying to get more free. You never stop trying to get more independent. You never stop trying to switch the weak for the poor. I mean, the weak for the strong. Bitcoin is the strong. What we are forced to work for is the weak. What we're forced to work for is controlled. What we're forced to work for is in the control of another man. I'm a man. I don't want, although I have to, I don't want to have to work for a money that is in the control of another man. So when I get the money that's in the control of another man, I am willing, if I don't need it at this moment, I'm willing to switch it, to exchange it, to buy something else that is not in the control of another man. That's just the way I am. I don't want something that's in the control of another man. I don't want another man having the ability to debase me, inflate my wealth away. trick me, manipulate me out of what I have spent my life working for. I'm not into that anymore. Bitcoin has given me the opportunity to not do that. And so, forever, for the rest of my life, if I earn another man's money, I'm switching the money that I've earned from another man into a money that is not in control by any other man, but is accessible to every other man on planet Earth. That's the money I want. That's the stronger money. And for 14 years, Bitcoin has proven that it is stronger than any other money in the world. Now, what I'm saying is, if my approach is correct, I am going to exchange the weak currency I'm forced to buy to earn into the strong currency, which is Bitcoin. I am going to do that for the rest of my life. If you give me the weak, I'm going to change it to the strong. I might use the weak if I need it at this moment, but if I don't need it at this moment, it's going to the strong. This is not something I'm going to stop doing. I'm not at some point in the future going to say, well, you know what? I think I have enough freedom. I think I have enough independence. I think I have enough of the strong. I'm just going to now stay with the weak. I'm never going to do that. And when you understand Bitcoin for what it truly is, you will adopt this attitude as well. I am not going to stop. You are not going to stop. The purchase that you are making right now, and I consider it not even a purchase, you're just exchanging the weak for the strong, sort of like changing a dollar bill for 4 quarters. You're not buying 4 quarters with your dollar, are you? No, you're exchanging $1 in paper for 4 silver quarters. All right. So I will never stop doing that. And my exchange today, my purchase today, my buy today is one buy in a lifetime of buys. So if that is my approach, and it should be your approach as well, if that is my approach, what's the freaking importance of the price today if I'm going to do it forever? What's what significance does it have whether I'm buying at 30,000, 25,000, 20,000, 18,000, 35,000, 40,000, or 10,000? It doesn't freaking matter, right? If this is just one purchase, one buy, one transfer in a lifetime of transfers, buys, purchases, and I'm never going to stop. So this helps me not obsess about, am I hitting the bullseye now? This makes me stop taking that approach where I'm walking in the casino, dropping my bags, taking all the money I brought to the casino, dumping it all at once on one number, 13, one color, red. Let's go. Let's hope I make money from this point, or if I don't, I'll lose money from this point. This is ridiculous. All right. So your first buy, and even your buy today, if it's not the first buy, is simply one buy, one purchase, one exchange in a lifetime of buys, purchases, and exchanges. Stop obsessing about the price. We're too early for that. That's like obsessing about where Apple was in 1994 or where Amazon was in 2003. Stop it. Stop it. We're too early to be focused on, it's going lower, so I'm going to wait. No, if you have the weak currency now, move it into Bitcoin now. And if it's weak, when you get the weak currency again, move it into Bitcoin at that moment. All right. Item number 2. All right. Here's how you can move your entry price should your first buy or your current buy manage to seem high in retrospect. So let's say, for instance, I bought one lot at $40,000 Bitcoin. So let's call one lot for purposes of simplicity, let's call one lot $100. So I buy $100 worth of Bitcoin at $40,000 of Bitcoin. All right. $100 at $40,000 of Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin drops in half to $20,000. I decide that at $20,000, I'm going to buy another $100 worth of Bitcoin. All right. So $100 at 40, $100 at $20,000. I have effectively moved my entry price from 40,000 originally to 30,000. I've split the baby by buying again This idea of being obsessed with price is all predicated on the gambling instinct. It's all predicated on this false notion that this is the only time I'm going to buy, so I got to get it right. No, this is not the only time you're going to buy. You don't have to get it right from a US dollar price point of view. Stop obsessing like you're a freaking novice, like you're a freaking idiot. All right. You're going to buy forever. So prices right now don't matter. Some of them you're going to get low. Some of them you're going to get high. Some of them you're going to get in the middle. It doesn't matter. It's all going to even out in the end if you approach this generational wealth building asset properly. So I buy $100 at 40,000. I buy $100 worth at 20,000. My average price is 30. I've moved my entry price, which becomes my average price, from 40,000 to 20,000. Now, to 30,000. I'm sorry. Now, let's say, for instance, I buy $100 at 40,000. This Bitcoin drops to 20,000. And instead of just buying the same amount, $100 worth at 20,000, I buy $400 worth at 20,000. Now I've moved my price downward more aggressively to 24,000. So I originally had an entry price of 40,000. Bitcoin had to supersede 40,000 to put me in profit from a US dollar perspective. All right. But by buying $400 at 20,000, I've now moved my break even, or my original entry price. That's another way of looking at it, down to 24,000. Now Bitcoin doesn't have to work very hard. It doesn't have to pump very hard to move me right back into profitable territory from a US dollar perspective. I'm only talking from a US dollar perspective because, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you have more Satoshis, more Bitcoin today than you had yesterday or last week or last year or last month, you are winning. I'm speaking entirely from a US dollar perspective because the vast majority of people I come in contact with are overly obsessed with the US dollar price. All right. All right. Now, this is, in my opinion, the proper way to approach this. That if you understand that if Bitcoin's US dollar price drops, you can actually purchase more and move your price, move your break-even point, your break-even price, which is essentially moving your initial buy price. All right. Now, let's go to the next item. All right. Once again, I believe that Bitcoin is a brand new technology. It is monetary in nature right now, but it will not just stay monetary in nature. Bitcoin is attacking the monetary system, or is addressing, I should say, the world or global monetary system as its first use case. But just like the internet's first use case was chat, and then it was like, okay, we can send files. Okay, and then we can, we can listen to music, and okay, wow, we can watch videos. You know, it grew, and there were use cases in ways that the internet was adopted that we could never have imagined back in 1994 or 1995. And it's still happening. We're still discovering ways in which the internet can be used. We're still discovering more utility for the internet, more use cases. And I believe that this will go on for centuries. The internet will continue to grow for centuries. The internet will continue to reveal new and better ways to live our lives. All right. It started the free and open protocol phase of the human experience. And Bitcoin is the second phase of that for the most part. Bitcoin, if the internet was the protocol of information and knowledge, Bitcoin is right now the protocol of money, which is far bigger and larger, and right now, according to our world, more important than information and knowledge. So, but it's only the first use case. We can't imagine right now what Bitcoin is going to be used for 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line. It's impossible. But I do want you to understand that as it stands right now as a monetary unit, all right, its use case, its most important use case is as a savings technology. It is not, its most important use case is not as a spending technology. And I believe that a lot of Bitcoiners get this wrong. They feel that because the white paper originally called it a peer-to-peer cash system, they get lost in this verbiage. And I think that's a mistake. That Bitcoin has evolved right now to address what I believe is one of the largest and most important problems that the human race has. The human race does not have a spending problem. The human race does not have a payments processing problem. We can spend like the best of them already. We don't need Bitcoin to spend. We can spend on a burger in seconds in a McDonald's. We don't need faster ways to buy a freaking hamburger. We don't need ways to get rid of our wealth. The problem that the world has is wealth or savings technology. We have a debasement problem. We have an inflation problem, which is a silent theft that steals our time and our wealth. And so people all over the world have no place, no safe place to store for the future. They can spend, we don't have a spending problem, and they can spend really fast. In fact, the whole financial system is designed for you to get rid of your wealth right now, to spend it fast. We don't have that problem. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners get this wrong. So, what Bitcoin is addressing right now is this massive problem of proper savings, a proper store of value. We have a store of value problem, not a spending problem. And as such, the best way to harness Bitcoin's benefits today is to approach it as the world's best savings technology, the world's best investment vehicle. And the best way to do that is to approach it with a dollar cost averaging approach. And I believe that the best time frame, a lot of people ask me this, well, Oliver, I buy Bitcoin daily. Okay, that's cool. Just be careful with that, because if you're micro buying, that can lead to UTXO management problems, which is a different topic for another day. But make sure that your purchases are sizable enough. And the size that I recommend is make sure that each purchase, if you can, is 1 million Satoshis or more, if you can. All right. But the point I'm trying to say is this, which is not as big as you think. But the point I'm trying to say is this: weekly buying of Bitcoin, whether it's $20, $50, $100, what have you, I believe that is the best approach. And this will remove volatility. DCAing, or dollar cost averaging, every week will remove the price concern from your life. It will also turn volatility into your friend instead of an enemy. It will make volatility pay you versus hurt you. And it's the very best approach to the world's best savings technology and the world's best investment technology. When you are DCAing, the wild volatility that most people consider is Bitcoin's number one flaw becomes your number one asset. And so DCAing is the best approach. Now, what I also believe that DCAing does, and this approach that this purchase that I'm making right now is only the one purchase in a lifetime of purchase. I will never stop. I will never stop exchanging the weak for the strong. What it does is it creates low time preference thinking, which is the supreme mindset to have in our life, in my opinion. And what I mean by low time preference is that you're not just simply waiting for you're not simply at the casino betting on the color red, the number 13, and waiting instantly to determine whether you've won or not. That's high time preference thinking. Low time preference thinking low time preference approach is that I'm building for my future. And That mindset is far superior to a high time preference mindset. A corrupt money, which we have been forced to work for. Remember, any money in the hands of another man where he can control your life and your future and force you to work for his token, his money that he's in control of. That is a corrupt money. And this corrupt money has forced us into a high time preference life because we intrinsically know that the money I am making from this man, the money that this man is forcing me to work for, he has the ability to debase, to make my money worth less. And therefore, if I don't spend my money that I make from this man, that I'm forced to earn from this man, if I don't spend it quickly, if I hold it too long, he's going to make it less and less and less and less and less on me. So this corrupt money in the hands of another man who has every incentive in the world to make you work more time for his money, to enslave you more. He's incentivized to keep the money corrupt. This corrupt money has forced us into this view that spending it faster, getting some results from it really fast is the only way to be, is the only way to live. And I believe that this problem is at the root of many societal problems today. You know, today, nobody's building 300-year cathedrals. Nobody's creating massive and incredible works of art that take time, effort, maybe over a generation. No one can afford to do that because the money is corrupt. So, a high time preference mindset is emptier and it's purposeless. And I believe is the root cause for a lot of depression today. A lot of people feeling lost, a lot of people not understanding, like, I don't understand why I try harder, I work harder, I get more educated, I get more better, but I feel like I still fall further and further behind because the money that you've been forced to work for is corrupt. And that is why while we're forced to work for that money, we always have to take a portion every single week, in my opinion, and move it to a money that is not in the hands of a human being, that is not in the hands of another man, that is not in the hands of someone who has the incentive to debase us and make us work harder and harder every single year for the same things. All right. So here's the thing. If you can adopt a 5-year plan with Bitcoin, right? 5-year plan. All right. And in that 5-year plan, you are not obsessed with price. You've got a weekly buy purchase plan. I don't care how small it is. And when I was talking about small UTXOs, it wasn't necessarily on the purchase side. It was more on the send side to your self custody wallet. So make sure you're sending the Bitcoin that you purchase on an exchange. Make sure you're sending in large enough UTXOs. You can purchase in small amounts from an exchange if you like, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, it doesn't matter. All right. But make sure when you're moving it to your self custody that it's in chunky amounts or chunky enough amounts to not have a UTXO management problem in the future. All right. That's a different topic. It's a bit more advanced, and we'll talk about that maybe one day. All right, so 5-year plan. All right, guys, look, you can barely get a rinky-dink college degree in 5 years. 5 years is not that long. All right, nothing in life worthwhile working for is going to be accomplished in less than 5 years. This is the high time preference mindset. If you believe this, it is false, it is wrong. You can't accomplish anything in 5 years. No professional athlete has become a professional athlete in less than 5 years. You can't do it. It's not going to happen. So let's get it straight. If you're willing to dedicate 5 years, you can potentially change your family's life, your life, and your family bloodline's life forever. If you're willing to give this generational wealth building asset 5 years, purchase any amount, whatever amount you can, every single week for 5 years. All right. The years that you need to focus on are 2023. This year is rapidly diminishing. Here are the 5 years you need to focus on: 2023, 2027, all right, and 3031. All right. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use your Bitcoin in between those years. All I'm saying is that these are your big years. These are the years you want to step up and make sure that you're focused and you are just accumulating. You are just on point. You are just um, purchasing, uh, exchanging. You know what I'm saying. These are the important years based on Bitcoin's 4 year cycle. I know a lot of Bitcoiners believe the 4 year cycle is not important or whatever. I'm not one of those. I believe that the 4 year cycle will continue to be important. It's always been important. It will continue to be important. And until that changes, I'm going to be there. All right, 2023, our time is running out. You still have time to accumulate weekly. Get in there. If you have bought before, bring your price down with every single purchase. Now you're bringing your price down if you've bought at a higher price than 27,000. All right. 2023 is an important year. 2027 will be an important year. 3031 will be an important year. All right. Our time is running out, guys. Now, I am a firm believer. When I say that, I understand that when I say your time is running out, I am not saying that it will be useless to purchase Bitcoin in the future, in the near future, or in the distant future. No, it's going to always be beneficial to change the weak into the strong. It will never be too late for that. It will never be a point in your future where if you are forced to earn in some other man's token, some other man's man-made money, it will always be appropriate time to change that over into a money that is not controlled by a single human being on planet Earth. So I don't mean that we're running out of time in terms of that exchange. What I mean is that we're running out of time, out of the time where it is what I consider to be the land grab years for Bitcoin. You see, the land in the United States, which is considered to be some of the most valuable land in the world today. All right. The land in the United States used to be given for free. There used to be land grabs. Towns that wanted further development of their towns and the prairies beyond their towns, they would literally have land runs. They'd put signs up throughout the town and say, listen, if you want some land, we're having a land run tomorrow at noon. Come on out with your family, bring your friends, bring your relatives, da 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 da. And they would have 60-second land runs where they lined everybody up and a whistle went off and they said, listen, you're going to run for 60 seconds. When the whistle when the whistle blows, you're going to take this wooden stake and you're going to drop down to your knees and you're going to plunge that wooden stake into the ground. And that is called staking your claim. That's where the term stake your claim has come from. Staking your free American United States land. Stake your claim. And wherever you started from to the point where you staked your claim, that was your piece of property. They were giving land out for free to promote development, to promote um, spreading out. We don't have free land runs anymore anywhere in the freaking world. But they existed. And I believe that we are still in the land grab phase for Bitcoin. That's going to go away. That's what we don't have time for. Now, after they did free land grabs in the United States, they did low cost land grabs where you did the run. It wasn't free. You had to basically pay a year's worth of taxes, or you had to pay some upfront fee and the land was yours, but it was still very small. And I believe that's where we are in the Bitcoin world. There used to be Bitcoin faucets that would spit out 50 Bitcoin every single time you went to the site with a new email address. And you'd get 50 Bitcoin sent to your email. That was the free land era. People used to be able to mine Bitcoin for basically free. Transaction fees on the Bitcoin network used to be zero almost. That's the free land grab phase. We've left that phase, but we are still in the low cost land grab phase of Bitcoin. And when I say our time is running out, it's that low cost land grab phase we're running out. Think about this, guys. One Satoshi is 0.00008 of a penny. It's a small portion of a penny. We're still in the early days, and you have to think from the Satoshi point of view, because I believe that Satoshi will reach a penny, will reach parity with a penny, and will reach parity with $1, and will ultimately reach parity with $10, with $100, with $1,000, with $1,000,000. I believe that this is an asset that has the potential to grow forever. Gold has been rising and growing for 6,000 years. Silver's been rising and growing for 9,000 years. The bond market's been growing and rising for 600 years. The equity market has been growing and rising for 200 years. Apple's been growing and rising for 49 years. Microsoft has been growing for 47 years. You get the point. Google's been growing for 25 years. Amazon's been growing for maybe a little bit more. You get the point I'm trying to say, guys. We are still early. And if you thought that if you think 14 years is late, then I don't know what to tell you, because you wouldn't think that you're late with your 14-year-old child, would you? You wouldn't say that my 14-year-old is topped out. He's finished. His life is over. My 14-year-old is going to zero. No, you'd say your 14-year-old is just getting started. Your 14-year-old hasn't even begun. In 1994, Apple hadn't even begun the life that it has now. So don't get this twisted. We are still early, but the land grab phase, we are not early in. We are still in it, but we're not early in the land grab phase. And so that's what I mean when I say our time is running out. Guys, I've got family telling me, they're yelling at me through the window here. I've got to run. I'm sorry, I can't even take your questions. I'm going to take them from a text point of view. So if you have any questions regarding my talk here today, please ask me. I will answer every single one. And you guys know me some of you know me by now. I might answer them sarcastically, but that's okay. That's okay. Man up, woman up, you can deal with it. I'm going to run. I'm going to go out to dinner right now, but I hope you found this useful. And the only reason, as I mentioned to you, that I'm doing this live session or this live spaces session is because my tweet regarding this topic was inadvertently deleted by myself. So anyway, hope you got some meaning for that. Don't obsess with price. We're too early for price. We're too early for America being 14 years old. We're too early for gold being 14 years old is 6,000 years old. Silver being 14 years old is 9,000 years old. Bonds are 300 years old, 600 years old. Equities are 200 years old. Amazon is 25 years old, more, whatever. You get the point. 14 years old is a baby, and we've got the best baby that has ever been born. We've got the best asset that has ever been exposed to the human race. We have the best discovery, in my opinion, that we've ever come across, digital scarcity, and it's a wonderful time to be alive. Don't let this opportunity pass you. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time. Boom!